right, here we go. So, are we recording? Yes, we are, because it says pause, stop recording. So, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us here today on our first lesson of this cohort of the Circle Hosts in Training, or commonly known as CHIT. You'll be glad to hear that, in fact, actually, you're the first official cohort. We have gone through this process once already with the existing Circle hosts that we have, but this time we've formalized it slightly. What I'm going to do now is I am going to share my screen with you. We shall go straight into do that normal death by PowerPoint. So let me see if I can get this right. Share screen, share screen, share. There we go. And I'll just go up to the top. Slideshow from the beginning. Okay, can everybody see that? So we should have a picture of a school bus and all that sort of stuff. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Eve, yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah. Thanks, Martin. All right. Might be easier if you guys mute yourselves at this stage, unless you want me to stop. Just stick your hand up or unmute at that point, and then away we go. Okay, so the other thing I should say is that all these slides will be available tomorrow, as will the recording. It usually goes out in a post at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So, okay, here we go. So let's just cover off some of the prelims before we go any further. Well, I've termed there the 80% strategy. Just in case you don't know, the general rule of thumb, there is a contract or sort of a heads of terms agreement that is being produced at the moment between Bismarang and as its Circle hosts. But the thing to remember here that I just wanted to take away before we go any further, that as September, we will be charging for memberships of the hosts for the circles. That will be up to the Circle host to decide what it is. We'll talk about that again further on down the line. The general rule of thumb is that 80% of the entire turnover received into Bismarang goes back to the Circle hosts to do with as they wish, whether it be for the stick in their own back pocket, pay for their time, or to enhance the quality of their circles. But it's not for us to dictate how you spend it. Second thing is, please, 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 please watch the 3 videos that are there at the moment. And if you're watching this recording in 2025, then hopefully there'll be an awful lot more. But the recordings of how the app works, the 3 basic ones that you really should watch is the one about the home news, a home news feed, and where that content is coming from. The second one on the principle of circles and how a circle works within the app. And the third one on posting. The main thing to take out of the posting is, again, please, 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 don't post directly into the Circle newsfeed. Sorry, not into the Circle newsfeed, into the home newsfeed, but into a Circle newsfeed. Otherwise, it will, when we've got 3,000 or 4,000, maybe 10,000, 15,000 members, if everybody posts into the main newsfeed, it'll just become another version of the Facebook group with maybe some search facility. But please just don't do it. And the last thing is, please join some circles, whether you're deeply interested in it or not. There are some really nice, quite interesting ones in there. Because I'm a founder, I'm actually a member of about 9 circles. I think there's 10 circles. I originally was just to see what was going on, but there's actually some really interesting stuff that I don't want to give any preferential benefit, but I never knew how my gut worked. That's really quite interesting. I never thought I'd be interested in it, but actually it's probably not going to be one of the ones that I call out of my thing. So you will learn something, but please do join a couple of circles. All right, so what you are going to learn, and I'm talking about over the next 6 calls that we do, okay? Bismarang has everything you need right now to create a thriving community, if you haven't got one already, or certainly to enhance the existing one that you have. But it's all there in the app. In our experience, the most powerful, engaging circles or groups or communities are those focused around bringing people together with a mutual purpose. So ideally, that mutual purpose is not for everybody to buy stuff off you. It's a mutual purpose that is mutual to everybody within that circle, not just something that's good for you. So over these next 6 evenings, we are going to go through a process that will enable you to, first off, identify and describe that purpose. And then we're going to identify other people with that same purpose, or who have the need for that same purpose. Then we're going to understand what engaging content looks like for those people. And when I say looks like, I mean, what is it? And then we're going to look at how you stimulate content and engagement in the long term for that group of people. So 6 nights over 3 weeks. At the end of it, you will have a BizMeringue circle with its first members who are feeling highly engaged, and that there will be many more waiting or wanting to join. So the learning format, how we're generally going to do this is on a Monday and Thursday evenings for the next Thursday, 3 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. 40-minute Zoom call. I'll try to keep this presentation to 40 minutes. Then a home exercise, which should take you 40 to 60 minutes. And then lots of Q&A chat in the chit chat circle. So I will be doing posts in the chit chat circle. So tomorrow morning there'll be a post in the chit chat circle, which will be called the daily news. It's usually written with slightly tongue in cheek, but it's a summary, a very brief summary of what we did the night before. It has a video attached to it and a reminder of any exercises that need to be done. Feel free to comment. Feel free to, and please do your own posts, etc., in the chit chat circle. I will be responding to. I check it on a very regular basis, but hopefully we all chat and engage in there. Once you have finished this circle host and training process, we will then bring you into the Circle Leader Circle with the other circle hosts. And there's a lot of engagement goes on in there already. And I think Eve will attest to that as well. Some quite good stuff. All right. So the basic plan over the next 6 days or 6 working days or whatever it is, or 6 evenings that we're doing here, this first one, which we're just going to cover now, is the basics of a content strategy. I've done a lot of content strategies in the past. This one's specifically geared towards circles and circle hosts and how we put them together. The next time we meet, between next Monday evening, we're going to look at member personas and value propositions. Okay, this is not specifically designed, these exercises not specifically designed for BizMeringue. I use them significantly and in some depth and quite big volumes in the marketing strategy stuff that I have done over the last probably 25 years. The next time, that'll be Monday. Next Thursday, we'll look at member journeys, how they get to you, very similar to customer journeys. But again, when I do customer journeys, I take them right through to the other side. It doesn't stop with people signing up or buying your product. It goes all the way through to the experience that they have and what they say and all that sort of stuff. So the following Monday week, we will do needs, messaging, and media based on those member journeys. I'll not get into that now. It's a bit more complicated. And then the Thursday after that, it'll be your first content and your first circle members, looking at the content that you're going to produce and the first trial circle members that you're going to bring in. And then the last day, we will look at launch planning. But it doesn't stop there. As I say, we'll then bring you into the Circle Leader Circle, where there's lots of other content stuff going on. And there's about to be even more of that right now, or about to start. Okay. So let's really get into it now and think about the circle that you have in your head right now, and why you got there in the first place. So the first thing I'm going to say is, if your circle is for everyone, it's for no one. I cannot stress that strongly enough. If it's for everyone, it's for no one. So if you are saying that it's for everyone in Ballymena, then it's for nobody in Ballymena. If you were to say it's for everyone in Ballymena that wants to, or everyone in Ballymena who is a micro to small business that wants to network with other similar businesses in Ballymena, that's not everyone. that's quite well defined. So the most obvious place to start with is with you. So your unique combination of experiences or take on a subject, maybe just the hook or the reason to exist, or maybe a fresh take on a common condition that attracts people like you to a circle that needs to exist in this world. So we are, as Bizmarang, as a business, we are coming to this where there are no preconceptions of what your circle will be or what it will look like or where it's going to be. There will be some people in this chit-chat cohort who are specifically looking at the local networking for businesses or small to micro businesses, such as the guys who we met in Belfast on Tuesday. And I know Eve in particular is looking after Southdown and Dundalk. But at this stage, you want to be niching down quite significantly. So some of the general examples are, I'll not read them all, but other members with the same speciality as you have, or even the same profession, or it might be just simply members who have the same condition as you, or with children of the same age, or who are at the same stage in the development of their business, or have the same diagnosis as you, or whatever it may be. But the thing to take away is your circle. If your circle in your head is for everyone, it's for no one. Now, it may well grow further on down the line, and you may well start other circles for other people and bring them together in a network. But for each circle, it's for a highly defined niche. So as part of the exercise you're going to do after this is I'll show you. It's quite a simple thing, a document that I'll send you. But one of the first questions is going to be, who do you want to bring together? And the more specific, the better. And if you can sit down and write them, describe them in writing, even better. You'll find that exercise helps you distill out even closer who it's going to be. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to write down the 5 or 10 characteristics or experiences that define those members, the things that are common to those people, the aspirations that they have or the needs that they have. And again, write them down. And the clearer and more specific you define those interests or what makes all those members unique, the better your Bizmarang circle will serve them. This is a customer focused thing. So you're there, you're creating this circle to serve those people. On such a tight niche, you may well be asking yourself, well, why will people be motivated to join us or to join me? The common thing that we trot out here is that, and it's a question we get asked on a regular basis, is that there are so many social media apps out there. In fact, last count, there was about 3,600. And you, as circle host, might think that people are too busy to join a new Bizmarang circle, but you'd be wrong. The fact remains that busy people from all walks of life remain highly motivated to join a community of people like them when it will help them achieve a common goal or feel less isolated. That common goal may be to feel less isolated. Nope, go away. So there are basically 3 overwhelming reasons why people join a new Bizmarang circle. First off is to meet lots of people like you for support, encouragement, and to learn from each other. And I just say again, to learn from each other. To create together the largest collection of stories, experiences, practical ideas for people like you. And finally, to navigate topics that don't have easy or obvious answers. We say stuff, when we say that, we say stuff that you just can't Google. So if you Google something, you get a pretty binary response in that it will direct you to videos or articles or blog pages or whatever, where you have to sit down and extract the information from it. In a circle on Bizmarang, you can actually get into interacting with people, delving deeper into ideas and experiences, and hopefully not too much advice, but people recounting their experiences. And you just can't get that from Google. Just doesn't do it yet. Why? So continuing on, why will people be motivated to join you? Well, reinforcing the why or motivations for joining. And if you put it anywhere in your invitations or your social media posts or your ads, it will make it easier for you to get people to join. So the next part of the exercise will be, which of those 3 reasons that we just talked about will most appeal to your members, and then write it down. And once we've done that, then start listing what other benefits would your members want to see from joining your community. And again, write them down. But those top 3 reasons are really, really important. So if you write down 10, 12, 15, or whatever it may be, and then select the top 3, if that helps you do it, then do it. Do it that way. And those 3 motivations that you pull out, you can never overemphasize them in all your communications, whether it be inside the Bizmarang circle or outside it. People will generally not get bored of it. If they do, you've got the wrong circle. And so therefore use those benefits in your invitations, your social media posts, or any other advertising you may do to attract new members, not just necessarily in the posts that you're doing in Bizmarang. Next, you're going to look at what you want those people to do together. So there are, I should say that in fact, not all these notes, and in fact, a lot of these notes have actually come from Mighty Network. So this is based on some of my experience, but a lot of experience that Mighty Networks and the team have been doing over the last 10 years. When we get on to the next couple of things and some more specific exercises, which will be much more of the work that I'm involved with. But so when we're referring here to the number of activities that are really good for a circle, it's what's really already proven in many, many other Mighty Host networks. So there are a number of activities that are proven to build real relationships between members, okay? The first one is connect the most relevant members by where they live or their interests. Now, you don't have to have all of these, but I'm just giving you some examples of what they are. If you can organize conversations and activity by specific topics members care about, very, very important. And the topics are built into your Mighty Network circles, hardwired in. And when you watch the videos about circles, you'll see how that's done. Use polls to crowdsource answers to specific questions that are relevant to your members. Polls and questions are really, really useful. And they, not only that, but do they give you some feedback, but they encourage that engagement of people getting involved with the circle. It gives them a feeling of ownership and some confidence that that people are listening to them and they have an active role to play in here. And it's a way of doing it that allows them to do it relatively incognito, not completely, but relatively incognito. Use questions to gather stories, experience, and practical ideas for members. And post your own story and experiences and encourage other members to post theirs. Now, one of the big things that isn't said here, and it's come out on a number of occasions, is try and step away from giving advice, direct advice. I think you should do this. Because when you say, I think you should do this, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either the conversation is going to get truncated and stopped by people going, oh, thanks, and doing it. Or they're going to then start picking an argument with you. And it's an argument that is very difficult to get out of. What you're far better doing is sharing experiences and saying, this has happened to me before, this is how I dealt with it, or this is the experience that we picked up from it. So try and stay away from giving direct advice unless you're actually asked for it. Or crowdsource some other experiences so that person can percolate their own advice out of it. Hosting virtual events like live chats with text chat, photos, and emojis, or a video conference. Oh, God, wonder we've seen that before. Like this one. And host real-world meetups if you possibly can. A bit like conversations that Martin and I had before we switched the recorder on, is that there is nothing like there getting out face-to-face to people. And then ideally, we almost visualize Bizmorang as meetup on steroids, as meetup with all the slushy bits in the middle, that all the glue in the middle that keeps it going in the longer term. So rather than that meetup just lasting for an hour and a half in a coffee shop somewhere, then actually you have built that relationship virtually, you cement it and augment it in real life, and then you maintain it and grow it virtually again, and a continuous virtual circle. The icebreaker. Sounds like some Norseman, some Viking. Anyway, connecting members in a Bizmorang circle isn't so different from your first day at camp or your first day at primary school or kicking off on a retreat. A round of icebreaker questions goes a long way in getting your members talking to each other from their very first sessions. Not only that, it gets them used to using the app and comfortable with it. Actually, once you've used it once and you've done your first bit on it, everybody feels a lot more comfortable than they did beforehand. So here's a few examples of some questions that work well that we have built into every Bizmorang circle. Built into every Bizmorang circle, there is an option for you to create an icebreaker question that new members see at the top of their feed right after they join. So if you go into, when you've watched your circles video, you'll see that when you're hosting your own circle, if you just tap on your own picture, go into settings, when you've opened the circle and you're a host, go to the circle settings, and one of the options that you can click on there is an automatic icebreaker question, and you can stick that in there. A few examples are what do you want to get from a community of peers? What's the one thing you want to accomplish today? What is your main goal this year? What is your favorite part of being a whatever it is, people who like pink plastic elephants or whatever it may be, if that's your circle. What topics will interest your circle? And this is a little more deep than you might think. Get rid of Shane there. It's a little bit deeper than you might think, because you can create topics that are specific to your circle. Okay, so you'll find that in your existing Bizmorang app, there's lots of circles, lots of topics that are appearing in your home newsfeed. Well, those are the topics for your home newsfeed. You can create your own topics in your Bizmorang circle, but please don't do that until you've done this exercise. So, because they're a great way to organize the polls, the prompts, the articles, and conversations happening in your community. Members can also follow individual topics, which gives them another instant way to instantly personalize their own experience in the circle. And topics, for example, are listed in hot topics and latest topics, and top topics are listed in the discovery section of your circle. So there's a discovery section for your home newsfeed, but there's also a discovery section for your own circle. So if somebody wants a piece of information that they're looking for, or general discovery of some topics, or who does what, or who's the top posters in your circle, or who's the top movers and shakers, then in fact they just go to the discovery section and they're able to see it there. So again, using a small business networking circle, for example, those topics might include getting customers, pricing, navigating social media, goal setting, getting organized, starting up. And the way topics works, maybe it should just quickly explain that, in fact, when you create a post, you can tag it with the topic. So when people see that post, they'll see what the topic it's when they see that the abbreviated version of it, they can see what topic it is, and whether it's going to turn them on right away, or maybe they leave it till the following day. But I say it also means it's searchable, and they will also see it in the discovery section of your circle. Content planning. We're going to keep this relatively simple and straightforward at this point. Okay, I'm just going to cover 3 basic areas in content planning. It is another whole section itself, and you'll see in the document that that accompanies this lesson that we go into a bit more detail in there. But for the sake of brevity, let's just cover these basics. The first one is be specific. Which of the following 2 questions do you think? Sorry, which of the following 2 questions do you think will garner a higher quality response? If I asked you, tell me about yourself. Or if I said, tell me about one day in your childhood that stands out for you and why. Which one do you think is going to garner more engagement, more questioning, and a general feeling of well-being towards the group and learning? The second thing is create a schedule and be consistent. So being consistent with promoting your circle is absolutely essential. There is no point in doing big spikes of effort with nothing in between. And for a number of reasons. First off, people go, oh, that's really interesting, and then they forget about you. The second thing is that, in fact, it's really hard work for you to do big spikes of content and then nothing, and then big spikes of content and then nothing, and then big spikes of content and then nothing. If you can get yourself into the habit of doing lots of little bits regularly and in a well-planned and ordered way, you'll find life is much easier for you, and it's much more engaging for your circle members. So we say there, you must continually, day by day, put in consistent effort, but that effort does not have to be big. It just needs to be consistent. So you'll see over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks that the content that I put out in this Chit Chat circle is regular, it's consistent, it'll come in format that you'll get to understand very, very quickly, but it's actually relatively easy for me to do because I have it well planned out in advance in general terms of what's going to happen. And then the third bit of it is make a plan. And we will go into this in more detail over the next 2 weeks. But in this case, for the document that you're going to fill in over the next 2 or 3 days, you're going to be creating a plan for what specific steps you will take each day to serve and engage your circle. Once again, be specific, set out exactly what steps you will take. And there's some examples there. But this comes back down to this specificity, such a mouthful that makes me cough, the specificity of your niche that you're going to start with, okay? So those actions that you might be to, on day one, I'm going to share content in the app, or show that you're an expert and are prepared to help. You're going to start organizing a meetup or online meetups or whatever, or interact and engage with the other influencers in your field and bring them into bring that interaction into your circle of some way. I could sit there and read them off, but I won't. Almost finally in this is measuring what you deem to be success. One of the things as a marketing strategy that I always say is that 80% of everything that you do is a failure in marketing. You just need to understand that that's a failure, and that it's going to happen, and that you learn from that failure, and that you fail fast, forward, and cheap. Okay. A lot of that marketing strategy process is about understanding where the failure occurred. And you'll only understand that where that failure occurred if you've pre-planned what analytics you're going to gather. Now, unfortunately, at present, the analytics available at circle level in BizMeringue aren't great, but it is coming. Okay, But that doesn't mean that there aren't analytics that you can start gathering yourself. You can have basic analytics of how many members that you have, but then you get in starting to measure the health of your community. So you could start looking at the percentage of members who contribute. You will always find that there will be one or two or three major contributors who people get involved at all. That doesn't mean to say that the others aren't playing at all. There's a lot of lurkers out there. You could have a look at the popularity of specific polls and prompts and posts and events, or as I said, new member growth, etc. The other thing with analytics is at the start, keep it really simple. Now, you're going to start, when you start with a new circle, you're going to have a small number of members in there to start initially as well. Analytics are extremely important, but don't get eaten up by them. So keep them simple, stupid first, because you are going to undoubtedly change your circle over time. Not the name, but just how it operates. It will be very different in a year's time from where you imagine it is today. So don't hidebound yourself by the analytics. So keep them simple to start with until you're really comfortable in how your circle is working, and then we'll start adding more and more analytics to make it more and more efficient. So I mentioned that there was a little bit of homework. I don't know if I should call it homework, or maybe I should call it tonight's challenge. We are going to practice what I just preached. And I'm going to send you a basic document, there will be a post that has the document as an attachment in it, and work your way through the basic content strategy guide. Okay, and then share the bits that you like best in the chit chat circle. Part of this exercise is I will share an example as well for the Circle Leader Circle, for example. But it's relatively easy to do. Won't take you very long. And when I've come out of sharing my screen, I'll just wave a hard copy of it at you. So, right, before I come out of the screen, has anybody got any questions that they want to just pick up on? So I can flip back through the slides if anybody has anything. No? All good? All good? All right, I shall stop the sharing. Okay, so here's a document that I will send you. It's really simple. It's just got some words, but then there's about 13 little boxes that you need to fill in and have a think. The primary aim here is only to set you up so you've got the basic ideas in your head, so that when we do the next exercises over the next couple of weeks, everything is a lot simpler, because you're not trying to understand the principle first. You've done the principle once already in very basic form, and then we're going to go into a little bit more detail further on down the line. Okay. Benjamin's back in his car. Okay. All right. Has nobody got any questions that they'd like to share or done? Yes. Go ahead, Martin. Best to unmute yourself, mate. There you go.
This is stupid question time, but
no such thing as a stupid question. I promise you.
Good job. Because it'll be stupid. So, in regard to actually getting to have a circle, do we have to finish this program before we get a circle, or
no? No, you give me an idea of. I would like you to do this bit first. Okay, which won't take you very long, and then the way it is, we'll set up the circle and we make you a host, and then you can crack on and get in and have a good play around, etc. We'll keep the circle secret to start off with, and what secret means is that not that it's secret squirrel and you're going to be investigated by MI5. It's just that it is not list. It doesn't appear in any other listings until you're ready. So you can invite people into it. But it's not going to appear in any other listings anywhere, which allows you to get in and have a good play, put posts up and remove them before people come and have a look and all that sort of stuff. Okay?
Okay. And second question is in regard to one of the things, just talking from my own experience, one of the things we do at Gilchrist & Co. is if somebody starts using Xero, for example, which is a private software and is easy in some ways but complicated in others, we say to them, look, if you get stuck on something small that's going to take a word to answer or a sentence or 2 minutes to answer, just give us a shout and let's get it sorted out for you fairly quickly. But if it's going to take longer, you're going to have to schedule time or something.
No.
Is that what?
Just ring me up, drop me, I'll put it into the circle, and we'll pick it up very, very quickly. If you haven't got an answer out of it quick, then feel free to call me. Okay. Don't let anything hold you up.
And those queries go to you rather than to Mighty Networks or?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we can go to take it. We can escalate stuff up to Mighty Networks if you want, but really, I mean, Eve has been involved now with this for about 6 or 8 weeks. There hasn't been anything that we haven't solved yet, really, Eve, is there?
No, and I would whinge about a lot of things because I have a very short attention span for Googling what needs done. If you put the questions in this circle, either Guy or Shane or I will, or Allison or whoever has got an eye on it, will see it and likely, get back to you right away, if not maybe an hour or so. But don't hesitate to pick up the phone. And the other thing is that the beauty of the secret circle and inviting people in when you first get started is that you can be very precious about who you invite in. And let me suggest they be people you don't mind stumbling in front of, so that you can get all the learning curve out of the way with people who love you.
You must have loads of those people, Eve. You must have.
Oh, the charm. The charm.
And on that point, I will mute myself.
Yeah, the beauty of having come with no tech savvy whatsoever is people are used to having to educate me. And so, yeah, no problem.
Dermot, did you have something you wanted to ask?
The only thing I had was kind of unrelated to what you said. Is something Eve mentioned previously, and I'm wondering, will you cover it? There is apparently integrations that we can have with Mighty Networks outside of Mighty Networks.
Yes.
To understand what they may be, or if we're going to explore those.
Funny enough, I haven't got it built into this, but I can do a post on it. I think something we should do. There is potential for integrations with Slack and various other things. What sort of integrations were you thinking of?
So the main one that springs to mind is for scheduling events, for example, with likes of Meetup, maybe possibly, or some of those ticketing.
An Eventbrite and stuff like that.
Correct.
Meetup.
Sorry?
More meetup.com and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And my understanding is one of the more robust aspects of Mighty Networks is that integration for events. So if you actually Google Mighty Networks and events, you'll see the full breadth of what can happen. Fantastic. And that's really what the advantage of the geolocation piece is.
So I haven't done it yet, but as hosts of your circle, you will have practically within your circle, you'll have practically the same ability as everybody else to set those up. So we're still in beta, we're still learning. The only difference in that I would suggest is that if you're going to do courses, I would use the course engine within Mighty Networks rather than pulling in Zippy courses or something like that, because it's as good as most things I've seen.
Interesting. I'll have a look at that.
Cool. Good
Thank
stuff.
you very much.
Anybody else? Any more? I see we've already lost Benjamin. He's obviously raced off somewhere in his boy racer car. Okay. At which point I shall stop the recording. Thank you very much, everybody. And look out for that white paper coming your way.